Not all wounds bleed, and not all pain comes from strangers. Today I'm going to share 6 true stories from Reddit told by people who once thought they could endure just a little more, until they were betrayed, insulted, or broken not by strangers but by their own family, friends, or society itself. From secrets buried too deep, to the collapse of trust, from bittersweet revenge, to moments that leave you speechless with shock. These stories will make you chuckle bitterly, rage silently, or maybe even see yourself in them. Are you ready? Put on your headphones and step into a world that's real but crazier than fiction. Story 1. I'm the guy who had a toy stuck up his butt at the hospital. Okay, deep breath. This is one of those stories you think you'll take to the grave, but then you remember Reddit exists, and here we are. I'm the guy in the hospital, the one with a sex toy stuck where the sun don't shine. Yeah, that's me. I'm 30. I live alone in the suburbs, and one night I decided to treat myself to a little freedom evening. A couple of beers, some whiskey, and a dildo I bought online 2 years ago during a blind curiosity spree. Never used it until that night. The thing had no base, no flared end. You know, not slip-proof, which in hindsight should have set off every alarm. I was lying in bed, kinda tipsy, thinking life's good. Started playing with it. Everything was fine until I flexed, just a little. And then poof, gone, like some kind of dark magic trick. No joke, I sat up with my face pale as a ghost. The damn thing had vanished like it never existed. I tried to stay calm, tried everything to retrieve it, but nope, it was deep, real deep. And that's how I, a grown man, ended my night by calling an Uber around midnight to go to the ER. I had to sit like I was hiding a live grenade in my rear. When I got there, I walked in trying to act normal. The nurse asked, "What can we help you with?" I said, "I think I swallowed something." She raised an eyebrow. "Down your throat?" I shook my head. She got it. No flinch, no judgment. Professionally terrifying. I waited in the lobby where, get this, they had just admitted a guy who shoved a care package up his butt because he was about to go to prison. Suddenly, I felt weirdly normal. Eventually, the doc decided to sedate me and extract it. No surgery, thank God. I woke up feeling like I'd lived through the weirdest fever dream of my life. And then plot twist. The lead doctor was the same guy who treated me after a car crash years ago. He had seen me in a different light, let's say. We locked eyes and both laughed like, "Well, fancy meeting you here." I refused to take the toy back. No way that traitor was coming home with me. "Goodbye, you sneaky plastic demon. The Uber ride home $120. Next day, my debit card got declined because I couldn't pay my car insurance, all thanks to this little adventure. I used to judge people for going to the ER for stupid stuff. I've been in the ICU. I've seen doctors under insane pressure to save lives. And now, I was that guy, wasting precious time because of a toy with no base. I felt ashamed. Like if I saw myself in that waiting room, I'd give me the side eye so hard. But you know what? A tiny part of me was laughing. I told my best friend. He laughed like a maniac and said, "This is perfect for Pride Month," then called me a pioneer in modern batology. Thanks, Max. I'm not telling this to brag, not to make you visualize anything, but to remind you don't judge anyone in the ER. Because one day, you might be the one sitting there, cheeks clenched, face red as a boiled lobster. And if you're gonna try something like I did, just make sure it has a flared base. Trust me, don't turn your toy into a $120 Uber ride and a year-long trauma scar. Story 2. I sold my body to support my family. They used the money to party. I'm not telling this story to get sympathy. I'm telling it because if I don't, I might actually lose my mind. I'm the oldest child in one of those TV show single mom families. You know, the kind where the mom dropped out of high school, had 3 kids, no husband, no savings, and absolutely zero plan beyond dumping everything on me. From the moment I was old enough to work no scratch, that from the moment I was old enough to understand, I kept hearing the same thing from my mother: "You're the eldest. You have to sacrifice." And so I did. I juggled 2 jobs, took part-time classes, sent money home every month so she could pay rent, buy my little brother's asthma meds, and top up my youngest sister's phone so she could spend more time on TikTok than on her math homework. But life taught me something. Trying isn't enough. Sometimes you have to sell your soul. When I turned 20, I did something no one in my family knows about to this day. I became an escort. Yeah, let's not sugarcoat it with sugar baby nonsense. I was a full-on professional high-end escort. Nights out, mornings in, fake smiles, listening to middle-aged men talk about their stocks and their wives, letting them touch me like I was some kind of toy with a price tag on it. I did it to survive. And because my family needed to survive too. They didn't ask where the money came from. Just knew someone was sending it every month. "My daughter is amazing," my mom would tell the neighbors. "She works for a foreign company." Sure, Mom. Very foreign. So foreign they paid in cash. I endured it, pretended everything was fine, told myself that each night I endured was one step closer to a better future, that I was making a noble sacrifice, that they were worth it. Until one day, I learned the truth. Not from a fight, not from a confession, but from my youngest sister's Instagram story. She posted from a room lit with LED lights, beer, and imported snacks all over the table with the caption, "My mom's partying too hard." There was my mom in the middle of a group of friends holding up a shot of vodka, wearing sunglasses indoors and laughing like she'd never owed anyone a damn thing. That moment felt like someone punched me in the chest. I thought I was supporting a struggling family. Turns out, I was funding a mobile nightclub called My Family. I didn't scream, didn't send an angry message, didn't cry. I just stopped. Cut the money. Cut contact. Cut the part of me that thought compassion was something I had to keep no matter what. A week later, my mom texted me, "Why didn't you send money this month? The power bill's due." I replied with just 2 words, "Figure it out." Another week later, my sister video called me crying like I was the worst human on earth. I ended the call, deleted her number, blocked them all. I didn't feel guilt. I felt free. Today, I live in another city. I work a 9 to 5. I still rent a tiny apartment, still making payments on my laptop. But for the first time, I spend money on myself. I eat sushi without counting every roll. I buy books without waiting for a sale. I sleep without dreaming about strangers' hands on my body. Sometimes I still feel guilty. Sometimes I cry when I see old pictures of my little brother. But then I remember the last thing my mother said to me before I blocked her. "If you won't sacrifice, then who will? No one, Mom. And no one should have to. Especially not your daughter." I disappeared from their lives not out of hate, but because for once I chose to live for myself. Story 3. I ran into my childhood bully at the train station, and it didn't feel the way I thought it would. I used to think that if I ever ran into the girl who bullied me in middle school, I'd slap her across the face like I was in some dramatic K-drama. Or at the very least, I'd smirk watching her life crash and burn. I've imagined that moment hundreds of times in my head. But when it actually happened, all I felt was emptiness. I'm 24 now. Back in 8th grade, I was the skinny girl with bad skin, thick glasses, and absolutely zero confidence. Let's call her Tina, was the queen bee. Pretty, pale, somehow even her braces looked cute, and her mouth lethal. She gave me the nickname Roach Face. Yeah, Roach Face. Not exactly badass. Every lunch period in the girls' locker room, I was the designated target. They'd toss pads at me, mock my voice, make fun of my first training bra like I was some charity case. I spent 3 months eating lunch in a bathroom stall. Not because I liked the silence, but because I couldn't handle being laughed at every time I opened a juice box. I used to dream about the day Tina would fall off a cliff. Not die, just break something. Part revenge, part justice. I wanted her to feel what it was like to be pushed down, even just once. Fast forward almost a decade later. I had just finished a job interview and was waiting for the train to head back to the suburbs. It was freezing wind biting at my face, and all I wanted was to go home. That's when I saw her. Tina. Hair a mess. Face gaunt. Wearing a torn coat and holding a cardboard sign, hungry. Cold. Anything helps. I froze. At first I thought I had to be wrong, but then I saw the tiny gold nose ring the same one she used to brag about in school. It's real. Not like the cheap fakes the poor girls wear. Yeah, it was her. I walked past, my heart racing. Part of me wanted to turn around and say, "Karma's a bitch, huh?" But I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel smug. I just felt empty. And then I did something, even I didn't expect. I turned around, went to the little food stand by the platform and bought her an egg and cheese sandwich. Walked over and handed it to her, no words. She looked up at me with dull, tired eyes. No hint of recognition. She just nodded and whispered, "Thank you." That was the moment I realized I had changed. I wasn't Roachface anymore. I had survived. I stood in front of the girl who once crushed me and chose not to become her. When I told my friends about it, some of them said I was too soft. One even said if it were me, I'd have filmed it and put it on TikTok. Maybe. But that's not me. I'm not even sure she remembers me. Maybe she doesn't. Bullies often forget because to them it was just a joke. But to victims like me, it was a whole chapter we've had to spend years recovering from. Maybe she became the way she did because someone else once hurt her. I don't know. And I'm not here to forgive her. But I do know this. I didn't need her to remember me. To know that I had already won. Not because I was doing better than her, but because I didn't turn into who she used to be. Story 4. The teacher who humiliated me is now my patient. If you've ever had a teacher who made you hate going to school, you'll understand what I'm about to say. Back in 9th grade, I had a teacher who completely destroyed my spirit. She was my biology teacher, also my homeroom teacher, and from the very first week I could tell she hated me. I don't know why. Maybe it was because I looked different. Maybe it was because I spoke with a northern accent after just moving down south. Or maybe she just hated the fact that I existed. I was the weird new kid, the one with a different voice, different style. My parents were in the middle of a divorce. My mom cried herself to sleep every night, and my dad just disappeared. And in the middle of all that chaos, I met Ms. Carrington, the teacher who made me wish I could vanish every time I walked into her classroom. Once I was late to class because I fell asleep on the bus. She made me stand the entire period and loudly said, "I don't know what drugs you're on, but here we don't tolerate junkies." I had never touched a single drug in my life. Another time I raised my hand to answer a question about the digestive system because no one else was speaking. I got it right. She laughed and said to the class, "Even she knows the answer. What's your excuse?" I cried all the way home. School became torture. I started skipping classes, eating lunch alone, and my grades crashed not because I was stupid, but because she drained every ounce of confidence I had. She once told me I was naturally dumb and said, "You'll never be a doctor or a nurse. Don't even try." And I believed her. Fast forward 12 years. I'm a nurse. Not just a nurse, a damn good one. I work in a specialty clinic. Our head physician once told me I had the best bedside manner he'd ever seen. Then one day I was reviewing the patient list, and I saw it. Her name. Her full name, Carrington. I stopped breathing for a few seconds. No way. I walked into the exam room, and there she was, older, wrinkled around the eyes, the once perfect blonde hair now streaked with gray. But that face, I could never forget it. It was her, the woman who'd made my life hell in 9th grade. She didn't recognize me. I took her vitals, asked about her medical history, stayed completely professional. As I was finishing up, I said, "By the way, Ms. Carrington, I'm not sure if you remember me. I was in your biology class back in 9th grade. My name. You used to call me that weird girl from the north." She looked up, eyes wide, mouth open. "Oh my God, that's you. You work here." "Yes," I said. "I'm the one prepping your case for the doctor today." She gave a nervous laugh. "You've changed so much. I didn't recognize you. I'm proud of you. I never expected to see you here." And then, like she had no memory or just didn't care, she added, "I always thought you'd end up as a receptionist, not a nurse." Then she laughed. I stared at her, didn't say a word. But inside my head, a full-on thunderstorm. What's wrong with being a receptionist? They hold the front line of the storm every single day. They deserve respect. And you were the one who made me believe I was someone who deserved to be hated just for existing. I didn't seek revenge. I didn't throw her words back at her. I remained professional. But as I walked out of that room, I smiled, the kind of smile I used to dream about as a kid. I survived, and I became everything she said I couldn't be. Not because of her, in spite of her. Story 5. My mom thought my dad and I were a couple. I never thought I'd put this on the internet, but some things, if you keep them buried long enough, will drive you insane. This is a story about my mother, the woman who brought me into the world, and the first person to completely destroy me inside and out. I grew up in a family of 4, dad, mom, my older sister, and me. Sounds normal, right? But normal never existed in our house. My mom was an alcoholic. Not the casual weekend glass of wine kind. No, I mean the kind who wakes up and reaches for a bottle. The kind who drinks in her sleep. The kind who, once drunk, transforms into a vicious monster that speaks in venom. And she hated me. Not the typical mother-daughter fights over grades or curfews kind of hate. I mean real, genuine hate. She believed I shouldn't exist because I was close with my father. Dad was the only one in the house who listened. Whenever my mom got drunk and unhinged, he'd quietly tell me to go upstairs and then endure her wrath alone. He took me to school, helped me with homework, and hugged me whenever she screamed for no reason. But to her, that meant something else entirely. She thought we were having an affair. No, you didn't mishear that. When I was 15, I remember one night hearing her screaming in the kitchen, "I know what you two are doing. You're not my daughter. You're his little whore." I stood frozen at the top of the stairs. She was yelling at my dad, about me, about how she was certain that I had a secret relationship with him. And this wasn't a one-time drunken outburst. She repeated it again and again every time she drank. "You're his second wife, aren't you? Where'd you learn that from, you filthy little tramp?" I was 16. I'd never had a boyfriend. I didn't even know how to kiss someone yet. But in her eyes, I was a homewrecker. And then she said the one thing I can never forgive: "You must enjoy it when your dad touches you." Huh. I don't know if you've ever heard your own mother say something like that to you, but I did. Word for word, clear as day. And it's carved into my mind like a scar that never fades. At 17, after one of the worst fights, I finally screamed back, "I hate you. You're the only sick person in this house." And she answered in this self-pitying, pathetic voice, "I never had a father. How could I know what a normal father-daughter relationship is supposed to be like?" Oh, right. So not only did she emotionally torment me for years, she also wanted to play the victim in her own abuse. I'm 27 now. I live in a different city. I have a boyfriend, a job, a quiet little life of my own. But the pain, it's still there. My dad still lives with her. I don't understand why. He's a good man, but maybe he's from that generation where keeping the family together mattered more than surviving it. I still call him sometimes. But every time her name comes up, I feel a lump in my throat. She doesn't drink anymore. But the truth is, alcohol was never the problem. It just unleashed what was already inside her. She's texted me a few times over the years. Always things like, "I'm sorry for misunderstanding. I didn't grow up with a dad. I didn't know what normal looked like." No, that's not an apology. That's an excuse. I don't forgive her, but I don't hate her either. I just feel nothing. Whenever my friends talk about their moms, how she made their favorite soup when they were sick or held them through breakups, I fake a smile and stay quiet, because I have no stories like that. Only memories of a woman who called me my father's flesh and blood whore. I'm in therapy now. It's slow. It's hard. But I've learned one thing. Forgiveness isn't something you owe to anyone. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away for good. Story 6. My dad wants to marry his niece. I know Reddit is the place where people spill the wildest stuff from their lives. But I bet not many can say their biological father is trying to marry a woman nearly 30 years younger than him and who also happens to be his blood niece. Yeah, you didn't misread that. This is a 100% real. And yes, I double-checked the family tree. She's the daughter of my dad's sister, which makes her my cousin. I'm 21. She's 21. And my dad, he's 50. It all started after my parents' divorce when I was 12. My mom couldn't take my dad's constant mood swings anymore. To be clear, he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder but refused to get treatment. He always called it just part of his personality. After the divorce, he moved to the UK. At first, I thought, okay, maybe he just needs space, but that space lasted years. He'd visit me and my younger sister maybe once or twice a year, usually just long enough for lunch before disappearing again. We drifted apart. The one person who did stay in contact with him, oddly enough, was our cousin. She was just 12 back then, too. She'd bring him food every week, help clean the house, and keep him company. At the time, I thought it was sweet, until I started noticing the way he talked about her, how his face would light up when she messaged, how he called her daddy's little angel. I thought I was just being paranoid, until 2 months ago, he asked me a question that made me want to throw up on the spot. How would you feel if I married her? I froze. What did you just say? I'm serious. We're not blood related in the direct line. She loves me, and I've never felt love like this before. I almost screamed, she's your niece. She's my age. She grew up calling you uncle. He sighed like I was being unreasonable. You don't understand. Love knows no boundaries, and you weren't around all those years. But she was. Oh, so it's my fault now. Sorry, I was too busy trying to survive college and not, emotionally babysit a grown man. I immediately called my mom. She screamed into the phone, "What the hell?" And then it got even crazier. Turns out, her family is supporting this. They think it's a fairy tale romance. They threw a party when he proposed. My dad called me to brag about the ring. She posted photos of them holding hands with the caption, "Love always finds a way." I felt like I was in some parallel universe where everyone had officially lost their minds. I cut contact. I texted him, "You're a disgusting creep. I don't ever want to see your face again." He responded with a long, dramatic message calling me ungrateful. He said I was just jealous because I don't have love like that in my life. Oh yeah, you nailed it, Dad. I'm jealous that no one in my life is marrying their own niece. That's totally it. I cried, but not because I lost a father, because I realized I never really had one. My image of him, the man I used to believe was good, just shattered. My friends didn't believe me when I told them. I had to show them pictures, messages, even the wedding invitation. Yes, they're getting married next month. In my religion, this is technically legal, but socially, it's horrifying. They call it breaking social norms. I call it smashing what's left of basic morality. I don't want to call the police, but deep down, I know if this continues, someone will. I've lost my father, but honestly, maybe I never had him to begin with. What today's stories made crystal clear is this: not everyone in your family deserves forgiveness. Not every sacrifice will be appreciated. And not every villain will ever realize they were one. If you've ever found yourself in a similar situation, remember this: the fact that you survived, that you're happy, strong, and still standing, is the biggest slap in the face to those who tried to break you. Let me know in the comments which story made you the angriest, moved you the most, or felt the most satisfying. And if you have your own insane, real-life drama, drop it down below. Who knows? Your story might be featured in the next episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a story from this channel. See you in the next video, and remember, not every secret is meant to stay buried.